coming in hot. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is make sure on our social media pages that we are live and in public, because so often it's a little delayed over here with the streaming apps. All right, Instagram, we are live right there, and we are going to just check this out over here. Thank you all for being so patient with us. There we are live. Slow it going on here. Edit privacy and get us on the public. Save.
That's impressive. I don't know how to do any of that.
You know what? It's experience matters, right? As they say, keep doing it. Hey everybody, welcome to the Team Powerhouse Show, live every Tuesday night with a very special guest, Miss Melanie Miranda with Apex Radon Solutions, an amazing woman. Did I say it right?
You did. You got
amazing woman. Not only is she beautiful, but she's really smart. And Marco knows more than anybody else how beautiful and smart she is, as well as the rest of her team. So thank you so much for being on the show with me today.
No,
I appreciate you being here. We're going to learn a lot in a very short period of time. If you have questions, make sure to reach out. Send those questions. Tag Melanie over here on Instagram and Facebook. Is that a good idea for to tag you?
Sure.
Or should I tag?
Tag the Apex Radon Solutions.
All right. So tag Apex Radon Solutions, and Melanie and one of her team members will definitely join. We have people already lining up over here on Instagram Live, checking you out, and you're going to see that scrolling as we keep going. So first of all, my wife is a clean freak. And when it comes to like the house being clean, she tells me that I'm a slob and that her house is a mess and that, she gets very frustrated. And clean air for her on top of everything else with healthiness and for a healthy home. Now, obviously, I'm not a slob. But, we pick up things because we put things down and she gets upset. But she's probably right. We have to work on things as guys, yada, yada, yada. But anyway, just clearing that out of the water for a second. So, it comes to having healthy air because we have kids, we have families, we have pets, and keeping the healthy air is so important. And it's something ever since like COVID, especially people are more conscious about air quality. So let's talk about this, and let's talk about how we truly get healthy air in our home. Like, let's talk about what are some good
Well, I just want to tell you that I threatened my husband that he was going to have to start sleeping on the other side of the bed if he didn't stop leaving his socks on the floor. So they would just pile up, and the laundry basket's like right there. So I'm like,
we undress, why don't you put in the basket? Now I'm trained to put in the basket. Mm-hmm. Like I'm good about that.
Well, that's good. Maybe you can come teach me.
You come home and you take your stuff off, your keys, your wallet, your jewelry, whatever you're doing, you kind of put it somewhere. And she's always like, why can't you put it there? And she's right though. She's absolutely right.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's valid. And then I'm sure I do a lot of things that like bother him as well. So
I doubt it, Marco.
Like
I'm
not
sure.
pay the registration.
That's funny.
Yeah. So to get healthy air, we what we want is our lungs to be healthy. And I realized like back from like anatomy class, like your lungs are. I didn't realize how it pushes like oxygen to other parts of your body, and that it, they get clogged up and they can't do their job the way they're supposed to, and it causes a bunch of health problems.
For sure, and we're gonna get into that also because as we get older, not that we're older, but as we get older, we tend to break easier, inside and outside, right? Like, and these are things that we're very conscious of with ourselves, with people. The last thing you want to do is have someone come over, oh my God, what does it smell in our house, right? Like, it's not even the smell in your house. It's just the air quality that you may not even smell because you're so used to the air quality per se.
Right. I was thinking of that the other day. I was in the flooring store and I smelled like these people, right? And they didn't smell bad. They just smelled different. And I was like, I wonder if I smell. Like, right? I wonder what my smell is.
Right,
I don't know.
Right,
That's
right,
funny. Yeah. But so air pollutants in the home are a thing. And so when you're cooking, right? So the little particles, the chemicals go into the air. When you have pets, they're going into the air ducts, they're going, and everything, all the dirty or dust is like recirculating through your home, through your HVAC system.
It's interesting you mentioned that it's circular because you ever sit there on your couch and like especially let's say on a nice sunny day and you look in the and you see these little things flying around, right? And
Yeah.
it's like I'll call it dust in the air or air particles, and we breathe it in. We don't see it most of the time, but
Right.
it's all around us. Even in this room we're sitting in here, it's important to have healthy air because we get sick. We could take an airplane ride, and all of a sudden you get a couple days later you got a cold, right?
Yeah.
And it's not because the place is dirty in the airplane. It's just there's a lot of air that's not being let out or transferred. And in a house, right? How often do we open our windows,
Yeah, right.
right? And I'm guilty of that. My wife likes to open the windows up right away, and she says, "Doesn't it feel nice, the fresh air?" And I'm always like, "I'm going to have an allergy attack, because of the smell outside or whatever it is." But you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's true. And we go back and forth. My husband and I, he likes air conditioning. I like the windows open. I love that fresh air. So we had a client that was complaining that ever since he moved into his new home,
Yes.
that he felt sick, like
Really?
super sick. Like he was like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's going on. So he started doing research. We did some tests, and this is before we actually had this company.
Okay.
And so we started doing tests, and I got like a company that'll test for like all the volatile organic compounds. And he spent like a lot of money. And so I called the lab and I was like, can you explain like what he should do? Like, why doesn't he just open the windows? Right. And they said, well, that's a good idea, except for now you're introducing other things. So, and you might introduce moisture, you might introduce pollens and stuff. So you don't know his situation. So really what he has to do is figure out how the air in his home can be healthy.
So you have different levels of tests you do. What are they called? How does it work? What's the process? Especially for a lot of people out there who don't know what you guys do. And this is a company that has multiple levels of things available to you. We'll get into that later, or you can go to the website. We'll get that out there also, everybody.
Sure.
So
we have a couple different things. So one of the things in that you want to be healthy in your house is radon, right? Radon's an odorless, colorless gas.
Absolutely. We talk about radon all the time with our buyers. You always want to check for radon in a house. Let's say you've owned a home before out there. Have you checked for radon in the last couple of years? Because the environment is always moving around us underneath, right? And radon levels change. So it's important every couple of years to test. If your radon level is over 4.0, you want to have a mitigation system. Sometimes even less, you might decide to put a mitigation system also, because you know that you're going to have less chance of getting, God forbid, cancer, which is a second leading cause of cancer is by radon.
In smokers.
And
it's number one cause in non-smokers. So that's right. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what you
said.
But
so radon's like it's one of those things that would be more chronic, right? It's not acute. So sometimes people get headaches, and so we test for radon, test for molds and indoor air quality, and then also we can test for like COs and particles. So I want to make sure.
One thing I learned from Melanie and her team is that every house has mold in it, right? And that mold there's good mold and bad mold. I think Marco, he really kind of dug his heels and tried to make sure I understood that.
Yeah.
Because when he told me that every house has mold, and I'm like, what? What do you mean? He's like, well, there's good mold and bad mold, and he kind of went into detail about that. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good. So we were just discussing that the other day at our office. Is that when you do a mold test or an indoor air quality test, you take one control sample and it's on the outside of that house, right? Not the outside of my house or your house, because there's different allergens and pollutants. So what the mold test does is it compares the outside to the inside to see if the levels are elevated or not.
Interesting. And it's a very interesting, I'll call it a graph or a spreadsheet that comes back when you get the final results on how it is and what it's showing, the different yada yada yadas in there. All right. So, and there's different kind of mold tests. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, so the one we use the most is it's an air test, right? And so it's like a petri dish in science class, and then it sucks it's a pump, and then it sucks in the air, and it sticks inside, and it's like it's called aerosol, and then we seal it up and we send it to the lab, and then when the report comes back, it's like it's high or not high, It's like very easy to read. So
Black or
we used to
white,
use this
in or
one
out.
was like all different colors and stuff, but it will show every kind of mold that's present.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad mold, but it can be like some are allergenic or some, and that might be the one that's bothering somebody. So
Absolutely.
they can actually take it to the doctor.
You may not even know that you have this allergenic mold in your house because you don't smell it, you don't see it, you don't know. You're just sneezing all the time, or you're feeling your throat, or you're feeling maybe sick, or whatever it is that's going on. So definitely think about getting yourself a mold test in your house. Everybody should do it. We should do it in my house also.
Yeah.
Thinking about it as I'm
Well,
saying it out loud.
we like to say like it when and then a lot of people are like, oh, I see something. They think that like with mold, you have to actually see something
Right.
and to test, but it could be a mold or it could be just a growth.
Right. And it's more of a thing than this situation. It's not a visual thing. It's more about breathing in thing. And most people have pets today, right? They may have dogs, they may have cats, or other animals that may have some kind of a mold that it's giving off its body, or some kind of a something,
Like a dander, or something,
right?
yeah.
That's causing something. You may no, not my animal, not my pet, right? But it could be what's making you sick, and you really want to get to know about what is happening so you can make yourself better, healthier, and make the decision if this pet is worth the pain. And some people say, I know, I love my pet, I'm keeping my pet.
I know people get allergy shots so that they can keep their cats. And stuff.
People love their pets as much as sometimes family members, and even more sometimes. But still, you want to know what's happening or why it's happening. I'm sorry, there's a lot of things going on over here. So what else can we do?
Well, ventilation, like we talked about, you can open the windows, and you can also have mechanical ventilation. So a lot of homes, especially newer homes, they're made really tight, and there's not a lot of ventilation, right? So a common thing that we're seeing now is called an ERV. So it's an energy recovery ventilator, and what that does, it can be in different shapes, but usually it's like a big rectangle. And depending on the size of your home would be the size of the ERV. And what it does is, so it has 4 different entrance and exits, right? So it pulls the old air or the fresh air in, and then it takes the old air out. So it's an exchange, and it actually exchanges it like an X, so that, and it hits in the middle for the humidity and temperature.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what that's doing is like we see quite frequently they're in the HVAC system now, so they're circulating the fresh air through the home. Also, you can do it like if you have a basement and it doesn't get a lot of airflow.
Most basements don't get a lot of airflow because the door's always closed, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're coming out by a garage, like my house with a garage door that kind of enters and exits. But still, how often is the basement actually being aired out? That's a very good point you make.
Yeah, and then also like it would be like one of those crawl spaces are super good so that it gets the airflow out, and then also it can help with radon a little bit. That would be like not the first step, but it would be one of the steps.
This is the ERV.
ERV.
ERV. Is that like an air purifier? Or is that
nope, it's just an air exchanger.
Air exchanger. Yeah. Okay, so
it has a filter though, so it's filtering the air as it's coming in and out.
So you can add an ERV to your home.
Yes.
Okay, and that goes inside the house or outside the house?
It goes inside the house, but it has 2 vents, and they have to be at least 10 feet apart from each other, so it's sucking in the air and pushing out the old air. So it's not like bringing in the air you just threw out back in.
And is this something that like it goes on a wall, it goes on a shelf?
Usually goes like in a utility room.
Okay.
It's that big.
Oh, wow.
It could be like, I would say like a normal size. They're kind of skinny, but you want it up on a bracket.
2 feet tall, maybe?
Like 2 feet tall, maybe 3 feet wide. Sometimes they're more square but long, like they're still rectangular, but they're squattier.
Okay.
And then,
so it's an ERV machine. Now, what about air purifiers?
So air purifiers, this is one of those things where you don't want to like cheap out on it. You want to make sure it has the proper filters in it. We have one that is made in Seymour, Connecticut.
Oh, really?
Yep. And we go pick it up and we deliver to the house. And what happens is, so it goes through 3 filters, the air. So it goes, most air like the air purifiers will grab the air and then put it back out, right? This one goes like from underneath, and it goes through 3 filters, the allergen, the microparticle, and the charcoal, activated
Oh,
charcoal.
wow.
So it goes through those three, but then once it comes out, it actually like conditions your walls, and then it comes, so you're getting the healthier going back out.
Now, is this something you buy an item that it actually it takes care of the whole house? Is that how it works, or do you have to have more than one? That depends on the size of the house.
It does about 1,500 square feet.
Oh,
So you want
wow.
to put it in the area where you spend the most time.
It's like a family room, kitchen
yeah.
area kind of thing.
Yeah, and
Or-
it's 35 pounds, so you can move it.
Okay.
And it's aesthetic, so it doesn't. We have it in the office, then we bring it to our house, and then we need to really get another one. But if you have a large home, it would probably be best to have one like on, one on each floor.
Yep.
Would be really good. It's not to control humidity; it's to control, but it does amazing with odors. Like if you're cooking bacon, or
Really?
it grabs all the pet hair and stuff, and it pulls it in. And you just change the filters like once a year.
I was just
You
going to
just
ask
change them
you.
all at the same time too.
Okay, I was just going to ask you, how does it work with the filter? So
Mm-hmm.
once a year, you just. My wife would probably do it 4 times a year.
Well, it actually has a control panel on it, and it'll tell you like if it's sooner than a year, it'll tell you to change the
Because
filters.
it knows that you have so much schmutz in the air.
Mhm.
Schmutz.
Yeah. What? I love that word. One thing I heard recently from an HVAC company was to not leave the air conditioning on when you're like doing drywall or something like that with new homes, because it pulls it all in the ductwork. I didn't
No
even think
kidding.
about that.
No kidding. That's
Yeah, I
pretty
thought that
wild.
was a good tip.
Obviously, regular cleaning is important. And I know my wife Valerie is super Wonder Woman when it comes to regular cleaning. As a matter of fact, I think in her past life she might have been a cleaning person. I mean, it's amazing because when she cleans, and our house is always clean. First of all, let me put it out there: our house is always clean. And when she says it's dirty, it's because my crap is somewhere, not because it's dirty. But she is like, she goes all around the windows and all the baseboards and all like the countertops and all the pictures. No, people don't realize how much dust collects in a lot of places.
Mhm.
Like picture frames. You ever walk into someone's house and they haven't cleaned a picture frame in years, and you look right away and you're like, oh my god, like you want to take your finger and just do one of these things
I
Right,
thought you
because-
were talking about like the top.
on the top or across.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, but literally, as a realtor, we walk in people's houses all the time. We say, okay, we need a good cleaning to the house, and you see the fans,
Mhm.
right, or things in people's houses. She is Wonder Woman who comes to clean, but cleaning, most people don't clean as much as they really need to because they don't have time to, or things get in the way. And I understand that, especially.
I think they just don't
life.
notice too, right? Because you're just living
Oh,
there all the time, and I
100%.
feel like it's not like oh, look at that person. It's just like when you maybe like from different eyes, right? And they see
Absolutely.
something different.
It's very true. People, we did an inspection of my house, right, a couple of years ago because I said, I know that I have some things I need to kind of check out. And it was shocking. There were things I knew and things I didn't even know I had. And the list was like this long. I'm like, oh my God. And Marco was like, listen, just tack everything once in a while, get one piece at a time, get it done. All right, going back to cleaning and air quality.
Well, I think that with the cleaning part is that it's like a lot of different things. So like you can have like a really nice clean upstairs, and then your basement might be clean, but it might have like a lot of stuff. And
Right.
so all of that stuff, so like for radon, for instance, like if you have, so your house is like a straw, right? So it's always pulling, and we're not worried about like the radon gas. We're worried about the radon decay. So when the radon breaks down and the little particles, and they're sticking to everything. So the cleaner everything is, and that's one of the reasons why it's recommended to never smoke in the house if
Right.
somebody smokes, because then it it multiplies
Compounds.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely. You mentioned to me, you just mentioned something, and I thought to myself, like, I've walked in people's houses and they have, let's say, a laundry room
Mhm.
where you could see like the clothes have been piling up, and then of course it gets an odor in that area, right? Like, and that's normal, wet, dirty, blah blah blah. But those kind of things compound also, and smell and air, and what's
Yeah,
going to
odors
happen.
and air pollutant.
Absolutely. Humidity control
Mhm.
is another one, right?
Yep.
So what can you share about humidity control?
So about this time of year, people start worrying about the humidity and going into the summer. So you want to keep humidity between 40 and 50%.
And I learned that from Marco because I got a dehumidifier, and I'm like, I have no idea where this number. There's a thing on the dehumidifier where you 35, 40, 45, and he mentioned. I said, what's the right number? You know,
Yeah.
I think he said like 42 maybe or something like that was a good.
Yeah, between like 40 and 50, because you don't want it like so super dry. I mean, you don't want it wet for by any means, but
Right.
you don't need it like any lower than that usually in New England, right? Like in this area.
Right.
But we definitely don't want it. It leads to mold growth. It leads to allergens, dust mites, and then so we also have a dehumidifier that.
A commercial type
Yeah.
situation where it's
Yeah, so
specifically
yeah,
for-
that does it 1,500 square feet, but it does so we're living in a temporary house, right?
Okay.
While we're building. And so when we first got there was we brought this little dehumidifier with us, right? And besides the fact that it was constantly full, it just wasn't keeping up.
Right.
And I said to my husband multiple times, like, I am not moving in this house until it doesn't smell like this, because it
Right.
would like hit you when you walked in the door. It was so bad. So he was able to and yesterday it was yesterday, we were looking at it, and the water, so the backyard goes like this, and the water used to pour into this house. And
Wow.
right now he put a pipe in the backyard, so it's actually draining where it's supposed to, like a lot.
He's a MacGyver.
And there's a cool little frog in there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Marco is like MacGyver.
He is.
He
He can figure
fixes
it.
and does everything. He's got so much like common sense and knowledge, and you can always see he's kind of calculating.
Yeah, but he did a great job, because that water literally was going in the house. So there was a sump pump there, but it wasn't even working because there's just so much water. So
That's crazy.
but the dehumidifier wasn't keeping up, and I said, this is so crazy. Like, we sell these, and we have one. We're gonna bring it to the office or to the house. So we
Right.
brought it to the house, and it's running all the time, and it does up to 100 pints of water a day.
Wow.
Like, it takes out. And we hooked one up in Shelton, and as soon as we hooked it up, the guy that works with us, he's like, look at this, and we were taking a video. It was like dripping like immediately. It was like
Wow,
unbelievable.
that's crazy.
So it was so
The
cool.
proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, it is.
Right when
I
you
have a
see it
video of
happening.
it.
Obviously, smoking is really bad.
Mhm.
Smoking, it's funny, especially since these e-cigarettes and these vape pens and all kind of stuff come out. I'm shocked when I still see people actually smoking real cigarettes. It's way back when I was in college and we used to whatever, and it was back in the 90s. It was very common and it was popular, whatever you want to call it. You used to smoke in restaurants. I mean, it was like
In
wild.
clubs and bars. and
Yeah,
everything.
absolutely. Come home, you smell like what? And then they kind of poo-pooed that. Everybody was upset for about 5 minutes, and then you realize, oh my god, I don't stink anymore,
Yeah.
right? But like people that still smoke in their house real cigarettes, it's like the most vile thing you can do in selling a home.
And
number
sell.
one.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Okay.
to sell one, right?
It's
Yeah.
like the worst thing you can do. And number two, from a health standpoint, as far you watch all these people say hello to you, we're doing.
Bridget said, I can attest, yes, you did hit you right in the face. See, I wasn't lying. I wasn't even exaggerating.
Right.
That was so bad.
So right now, what you can see on the Instagram feed, the people talking, and Bridget, who was an amazing girl, one of the marketing girls for Apex, Miranda, yada, yada, yada. We'll go into the details. She's been on the show before. We love, hey, Bridget, so good to see you at the show, watching the show. But smoking is one of the worst things you can do. I mean, smoke outside, the bare minimum, smoke outside. And if it doesn't help you cut back on your smoking, I don't know what else does, you know? And we have, you mentioned the VOCs. Limit the use of VOCs.
Yeah.
What's
So
a
that's-
VOC?
It's just a volatile organic compound. So it could be a bunch of, it could be like that guy I was talking about before, how he had that in his new home. They said it could be from the carpets. It could
Yeah.
be from the different building materials. We do it with air fresheners. There's just a bunch of things, chemicals that are not like natural.
We talked a little about side effects.
Mhm.
Side effects of not having healthy air. Like it goes from as simple as allergies to
Headaches, feeling sick, coughing, like a
respiratory.
stuffiness, respiratory. It could go to like bronchitis, pneumonia, and then it could go to like
God
lung
forbid-
disease
right,
and stuff
God
like that.
forbid, way deeper problems that even though you're having.
Mhm.
Like, can you imagine if God forbid your kids or your family gets sick because you're not paying attention to your home and the condition of the health, and you not because you're doing it on purpose or being not caring. I'm trying to think of a better word. Not because you don't care, just because you don't think about these things, and most of us don't
But
think
they
about
might
it.
already have like a weakened immune system, or they might already have allergies or asthma. So not doing those things can make it worse and make people very uncomfortable.
So let's just talk about that. So if you're out there and you're watching this show, and if you watch a show later, and please share this with your friends and family, because you may know somebody whose home you walk into that you're like, they really need to see and hear about this, and just kind of tag them, hey, watch this show. And you mean it from a good place, because maybe that they have a family member that's getting sick all the time. Maybe because one person's getting sick in the family and the rest of the family's not getting sick, they're thinking, oh, it's just that person.
Right.
When in actuality, those other people might be immune to that, but the one person isn't immune to it, and they're the one suffering.
Yeah, but one of the, I don't know why this just popped in my head, but one time my friend called me and she said that she had a company come, her walls were sweating,
Yes.
right? And she said that they said that they made her feel terrible. Like, I can't believe you let your child sleep in this room. This is terrible. There's going to be mold. There's this, is it. So Marco and I went over there, and he went into the attic.
Well,
and
parent guilt must be like,
yeah,
so
she
high.
was like ready to like rip his whole room apart. And so Marco went over there, and all it was that the insulation was folded back because of some work up in the attic or something, probably before they even bought the house. So he put the insulation back, and the whole thing went away. So alarming, like, just get the proper information. Sometimes you need like a second opinion or just somebody to like look out for you. It doesn't mean just because something's happening it's like the end of the world. There's a lot of easier fixes for things.
You just need to learn. You have to be open to learning.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be open to checking things out and testing things out, because if you test things out, you're going to learn. And most people, what happened, they bought a house, that lived in the house for X amount of years. They don't check their homes anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They just, not to mention, they don't service things. They don't take care of things because, I'll get next time, I'll get next time.
Well, if it doesn't break, a lot of times it's easy to just forget about it.
And no one wants to spend extra money on things that are not of any kind of value immediately, like it's immediate satisfaction. I am to blame with that. Like, we need windows.
You can wait.
Right, we need windows, but we don't want to spend the money on windows because you'd rather have something else that's more immediate satisfaction. But these kind of things, when it comes to your health and air quality, I bet you more people are, as they're watching this show, are going, wow, I really need to check my air quality, and it's important. It's important for so many reasons.
So we can check the air quality another way too. We have this machine, it's called Air Advice, and we just leave it in that space, and we do it no charge. We leave it in the space for 30 minutes, and then it makes a report, and it tells you if there's too many particles, if the CO is high. It doesn't tell radon, but it tells it gives you a report of like 5 different things.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, it tells humidity, I think. And so, I mean, we could do that. And then you could see like, okay, is there something I need or is there not? Or am I good?
And I would bet you at different times of the year, right?
Yeah.
People have different kind of feelings, whether it's winter, spring, fall, and summer.
Mm-hmm.
You have different levels of moisture in the air and allergens and yada, yada, yada. Like, how about the dog goes in and out more in the springtime or summertime and is out right.
Do you have animals?
Oh my God, we have a great golden doodle.
Oh.
And speaking of wet paws, my wife she gets mad because the dog goes out and she's super clean freak, right? You didn't wipe his paws. And I'm like to myself, like, oh my God, I was doing my wiping his paws. Like when he goes out and he's raining, and I'll dry him off and I'll clean him. But when he's not, because he goes out and he digs or touches or whatever he does, rolls around, and then he comes in the house and you're petting him, and you're touching him, all of a sudden he starts sneezing. Mm. It's not because the house is dirty. He could just been rolling around in whatever, and he comes
start
back.
with a P.
Yeah, pollen. Yes, exactly.
Oh, I think you say poop.
Oh, poop. The poop is older. You know the poop right away. But they bring the pollen in the house too. The animals go and they come back in the house and they bring things in the house. Yeah. So let's talk about. Let's see. Sorry, I'm all over the place. How do we check for healthy air in our current home? One of the biggest things is the ductwork you mentioned before.
Yeah.
So if somebody has a four-side air system, it's much different because that air is circulating much differently. People have gas heat or oil heat can be four-side air, right? So if you have four-side air, which means it's coming through vents, right?
Yeah, there's a great if you have radiators and stuff, you're not gonna be able to do anything about it.
Right.
Like going through the stuff. Yeah.
But with four-side air, if you have central air, you also have probably ducts, unless you have a split system, right? So how often are you checking those ducts?
So ductwork, air duct cleaning is super important. You could do it. A lot of people just do it once and then they kind of forget about it. But I just thought of something as we're saying this is we should clean the air ducts, right?
Yes.
But then we have this, it's called a UVC light. And so it sits above the coil of the furnace. And it's so well. First of all, a great thing to do is have a really good quality air filter in the furnace, right? And then after that, so after the coils, you put this UVC light, and it's good for about a year.
Really?
And it cleans and conditions the coils. So it's killing this. So this is
That's pretty amazing.
You can do them by themselves or you can do them together. So not only do you have the clean ductwork, but now you have like it's not putting as much into it.
Is that only in a forced air system? First question.
Yes.
Is that also for a central air system?
If no, it's for the furnace. It goes above the coils.
Is there something you would put in the ductwork of a I'm asking dumb questions, I'm not sure, but like an essential air, the ductwork for the central air. Is there something that would be there at all to kind of help?
I would have to look into that. I'm not really sure. That's a good question. I like that question.
Yeah, I know you have to change your filters. I think we do it 4 times a year. I think they say twice, 4 times a year. And I mean something where you can have. We have an air handler in the attic. We have a ranch. We have 2 AC systems. Don't tell me why. Ask me why. But we have one in the attic and one, I think, downstairs, or maybe they're both.
I would say probably the filters are the biggest defense because you can get a super cheap filter or you can get a more expensive filter. But one of the things I learned recently is about the MERV, how fine the holes are in the filter. So the higher the MERV, the tighter the filter is.
Okay.
But you don't always want that like in certain equipment. So it might be like, oh, I want the highest MERV, but it might restrict the airflow from grabbing the air and taking it out. So like in an ERV, you want to be careful because if the MERV's too high, then you might not get the airflow that you're actually desiring.
You just threw me for a curveball over here. So what does that mean? We're supposed to buy what for the AC duct?
It depends on your system.
So
you want to look the higher the MERV. So I think they say between 10 to 13 or 8.
MERVs.
It might come with an 8, and they might. So I would look at your system and then see. It's MERV, and don't ask me what it stands for. I have no idea.
When you say look at your system, you look at the air handler or the condenser outside.
I would look at the just the name of it like together. I would say.
Okay.
Do you think they're 2 different brands? I would say it's probably the same brand.
No. I'm just my air handlers in the attic and my condensers outside.
Let's go to the condenser first. And then if it doesn't say it, then you go to the
I might have to call up.
Call Margo.
Yeah.
Call the
need your help.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been talking about a lot of different kind of things here, how to keep your air healthy and clean.
And then you can do plants as well. We were talking about So
that's another thing. So like, how many of you like plants and like to plant plants in your house? Or me personally, I'm not a plant guy at all. In my house, there's 0 plants. I bring home flowers once in a while. My wife usually like flowers when I bring them. She's like, or maybe she likes what's it called? My mom likes it too. That one that you don't even put water to. You put an ice cube. The flower with the
like a lily, like a Easter lily.
No, the one that you buy and you don't have to water it. I'm sure somebody out there.
Cactus?
Nope. It's that pretty flower. You don't put. My mom likes this flower. I'm drawing a blank, but my point is, we don't carry a lot of plants at our house, or trees, But you mentioned before we were talking.
So there's like snake plants, peace lilies, spider plants are good for your house. I went to IKEA when we were designing our office, when we were like when we first got it, we were redoing it, and I bought all these fake plants, and one of them started turning brown.
Wow.
But I didn't realize it was real.
Wow.
I thought it was fake. It looked so nice, right? And then it just turned brown, and then I had to get rid of it because I couldn't keep it alive.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But then now I have a money tree.
That was what you meant.
So
hold on. Has anybody out there ever heard of a money tree? I thought when you said money tree,
it probably has a different name. No, he thought it actually had dollar money on it.
I'm like, oh, I love money trees.
I wish I had that. That would be really
Someone
cool.
gives you a money tree for a gift and it's got all the dollar bills or 5s and 10s in there.
Imagine, that would be so cool. I like that one. So my friend gave it to me, and I've never, my whole adult life, I've never been able to keep a plant alive. But I think the reason why it's alive is because Marco has been watering it. I saw that, but I went on I got this app, and it tells you if it's sick, what it needs and stuff like that. So it needed coffee grounds or something at one point, but now it's good. So But
Is this a drug tree with?
no,
coffee
it's
grounds?
it's actually really
Okay.
big. But my friend brought it home from school. From her, she works in a school, so she
Okay.
brought it home, and then she's like, it was big, and I said, oh, that's so beautiful.
Oh wow.
And she's like, well, please take it. And I was very like, oh, I don't know, because I
Do
kill
really
every
want-
plant. Yeah. But,
That's how
but
we are.
it
We
does
kill
need to be
everything.
in light. It needs
Okay.
full sun.
Big
all the
leaves or
time, yeah.
something?
It has like they're probably like this big, but and we have this little tiny house right now temporarily, so
Right.
it's like very big in our house. But I think it's nice. So
a money tree can help with air quality.
no,
No.
it's just a plant. It's just a plant that I've I don't know. I can look it up, but
Oh my God,
we
that's
said
so funny.
spider peace lilies, spider
Okay.
plants, stuff like that. I think my mom had spider plants when I was a kid.
All right, Melanie Miranda, Apex Radon Solution. The company is going to help you learn about the air quality in your home. All right, you want to get in touch with Melanie or Apex specifically. What is the best? Now, I put a number on the screen here, 203-747-1808. Does that sound right
That's
for
it.
Apex?
That's perfect. Yeah.
All right, so let's write that down over here because I'm going to repeat it back. 203-747-747-1808. All right, so that's one thing. Calling up, get in touch with the people at Apex. Who would answer the phone over there at Apex?
Marsha would.
Marsha would be answering the phone. She's
Mhm.
probably great on the phone. She's going to get bombarded with calls now.
She's our sales solution specialist.
So,
So
thank you,
if
Marsha.
you would like a
Is
free,
she as good as Bridget, though? Because Bridget's really good.
Bridget is the power behind in front of Marsha and I. She just talks us up nice and explains everything, and then we help the clients.
Get what they need to get.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so you're going to call 203-747-1808. What is your website, please?
Yeah, so it's Apex
APEX.
Radon Solutions with an S.
Radon Solutions. So it's RADONSOLUTIONS.com.
.com.
And when they go to the website, they can have a chance to see things about mold, bacteria, or testing.
Yeah, it'll tell the different things that we do. And so right now we're offering a free radon test
Oh, wow.
kit if you want. So you would just go on the website. It says like request a free quote. You could just put, I was listening to the Team Powerhouse podcast, and
Bingo bango, I like that.
and you and then we'll set that up for you. And if you want to do the air things to see about your air, we can do it at the same time.
So let's repeat back. Because you're watching the show and you're sharing with your friends and your family and you're learning so much, you can request a free radon kit,
Test kit. Yeah.
test kit,
Yeah.
where you can actually check your radon levels, which is very important to do. And if you haven't done this in the last few years, you should do it again. And you might be shocked and you might go, oh my God, but when I bought the house, it was at 2. And
Right.
now it's at 6. This is normal. Remember, the environment under our homes, the ground, the core of the earth is moving all the time. And this is what changes radon levels.
Yeah, or maybe you bought it at, it was 0.5 and now it's 1.2 and you're like, yes, that's awesome, right? And I
Yeah.
just tested again in 2 more years. So that's like our, we just want you to know what's going on.
And then from there, and again, you have all these different types of things that can help a home if it's got any kind of challenges with bacteria, mold, et cetera, air quality issues that you can help the people out with. It's a great company. It's a family business. The nicest people in the world. You won't be disappointed. I can guarantee you. Melanie, thank you so much for being on the show
You're
today.
welcome. Thank you.
Always bringing it great. We love, appreciate you and your team of people. And thank you so much for making this a wonderful show and very
You're
educational.
welcome. Thank you so much.
We will see you guys next week, everybody. Thank you so much for being part of the show. And I'm going to try and turn things off without making anything bad happen.
I'm going to take another video of him turning things off.
All right, here we go.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We're going to end the stream over here. Are you sure you want to end this stream? We are ending.